All right, everybody, welcome back to Blueberry Wolf Bridge, aka No Intro RPG. And of course, the office phone is ringing because why not at this hour? And this is going to be episode number 2, where I begin to tell you why Micro Chapbook RPG by Noah Patterson is my current favorite role playing game. This thing is so simple. It's mass madness. It is so simple and so good. You can use it, you can learn it in 20 minutes. These rules are easier to explain than Clue. Having had a recent opportunity to try and learn Clue again, and explain Clue to like a relatively older human being, I'm telling you, this is a lot easier. And it's so easy that when you figure it out, when you really figure it out, I'm telling you, having spent about just like a couple of weeks, I'm telling you, because you can learn the basics of the system in 30 minutes and get up and going, once you have it in your subconscious, I'm telling you, literally, I was watching Bubba Hotep, the fantastic 2002 cult classic Bubba Hotep with Bruce Campbell as an aging Elvis Presley imprisoned against his will in a retirement home with Ozzie Davis as a black JFK in a similar predicament, having to battle a mummy. And I'm watching the final scene and I'm able to put it together in my head as a playable, basically as a playable campaign in Micro Chapbook RPG, basically in my head. And I'm basically, because you'll see it's a series of simple tables and rules. It's so simple. Let's just do it to it. What is Micro Chapbook RPG? The Micro Chapbook RPG system is an ultra simple solo role playing game. And the reason that I got into it is because I was looking for a solo role playing game. I'm looking to do solo role playing, here, on YouTube. A lot of people are doing it. I wasn't looking to do it on YouTube. I was just looking to do it because, well, I already covered that in the first video I did on this channel, so no reason to repeat ourselves. In order to play Micro Chapbook RPG, this is like, I don't want. I'll try to remember to put Noah, the creator of the system, has a great video basically covering the lifespan, and basically this has been going on since I guess basically 2020. So he's up to 1.75, and everything's basically pretty much cross compatible. Like having basically seen everything. Oh, this is great. Everything that is sold on Amazon, you know, from Microchap RPG basically has this advertisement. It says, "Stop, don't buy this book, at least not yet." As you can tell, I'm really great at following instructions. I regret nothing. All of this has been fantastically worth the expenditure. These are ultra simple rule sets that are basically the reason that warning is there is because so many of these rules are available, for free downloads, because this game was originally, take a look at these rules. What do you need to play? Two. So this is the original rules, like the 1.0 rules up to 1.5, and I'm basically playing 1.5. And we'll get into it as we get into it. And I gotta keep an eye on the time because I'm trying to keep these videos like under 15 minutes to make sure that they upload. 2 6-sided dice, a sheet of notepad or graph paper that's for making the map, a character sheet or note paper, a pencil with a good eraser. These rules are any standalone chapbook scenario. The rules, half a page. During gameplay, it's a roll under system. You almost always roll a 1d6. Your stats are basically going to be, you have 4 stats, and they're going to be 1 through 5. A 1 is an automatic win all the time. A 6 is an automatic failure. That why, your an automatic failure. So obviously you can't have a stat go, to 6, because then you'd be covering the failure. So there'd be no chance of failing. If your character is proficient in that stat being tested, roll 2 dice and take the better result of the two. So if you have a character that's proficient in strength and it's a strength test, like to hit with a hammer, you roll 2 dice instead of 1, and so you get like say you rolled a 2 and a 6, so the 6 would be an automatic failure, but you get the 2. The 2 is a win, so you take that 2, and there you go. 1 always succeeds, 6 always fails no matter what. The mechanic is used for all tasks, including attacking, avoiding traps, unlocking doors, and almost everything else. The only time this is different is when you roll for damage, either when dealing weapon damage or taking damage from a monster or trap. Some damage scores may ask you to roll 1d3 or 1d2. When you see 1d3, it means you roll a single d6 and half the result rounding up. When you see 1d2, it means roll a single d6. Odd results count as a 1. Even results count as a 2. Okay? Character creation. Character creation is done in 5 simple steps. This is the original. This is the basic rules. There's some rule variations, and we'll go through that over time as we do this. We're not going to try and do this all in one video, but these are the basic rules of the basic rules. Determine the 4 stat scores. These are 1.5 rules. The rules have changed a little bit. Determine the 4 stat scores. Choose a character class. Choose a character race. It doesn't really matter. This is all. A lot of this is just the role playing stuff. Determine your starting health and willpower. Roll for gold and purchase items. Each step is explained in further detail in the following sections. You'll see how much of this is just, going to be the mechanics that are just going to be interchangeable, and we could just take any sort of role play scenario and throw it on top. We could play Sanford and Son with these mechanics. We just got to figure out what the strength, dexterity, and wits and charisma of Sanford and Lamont are going to be. And whether or not, and what the stats of fucking Grady are going to be, and what the stats of the enemies are going to be. Strength is used for melee attacks and breaking down doors. Dexterity is used for ranged attacks and avoiding some traps. Wits are used for disarming traps and picking locks. Charisma is used for increasing your willpower and showing your bravery. During character creation, you're granted 7 points to assign between the 4 stats as you see fit. 9 for an easier game. No stat can have lower score than 1 or higher than 4 during the step, but these may be altered later on. Later on, when you pick things like your character or your class or your race in the medieval setting, if you're doing something like Blood for a Dollar, the Western setting, or one of the sci-fi settings, they're going to use different, things like instead of race or class, they're going to use things like, descriptor or, some other language, but it's going to basically be the same thing. It's just going to change your stats. It's just going to give you a bonus to your stats, and that's just going to affect. It's a roll under system. So if your stat is strength is a 5, you're going to try and hit a 5 or lower, right? There are 4 character classes to choose from. Each one will make you proficient in 1 stat. A fighter is adept at strength, so you could get a +1 to strength. So if you assigned 4 to strength over here, you take a fighter class, then you got 5 strength. Well, that already means that you already only got 1 in the other things, so you're going to be blowing, unless you're rolling perfect ones, you're going to be blowing every other roll, so that you're going to be losing health and willpower all over the place for all the things that's going to affect. Your ranger is going to be proficient in dexterity. Now listen, if you're going to be playing totally solo, you want your ranger to be good in dexterity? Okay, maybe you want your ranger to be maybe you don't want any of these things. Maybe you want to be something else. Look, in the Blood for a Dollar, Noah's very explicit and says, look, you want to create your own class and call it something else? Do it. He doesn't say it here, but, basically, we're solo game playing, you can do what you want, kind of. There are 4 character races to choose from again. Here you're basically just going to be taking this sort of thing, in the role-playing aspect of it is you're taking these characteristics, these racial traits, these races, these proficiencies, these occupations, and you are using them to affect your stats, to affect your characteristics, to affect your role-play experience in the dungeon, right? The elf gets 1 in charisma. The dwarf gets 1 in wits, which is going to make them the wizard. Some people have a problem with that. It doesn't make sense to their role-playing experience that a dwarf would be the ideal wizard. Now look, in the basic 1.5 rules of Micro Chapbook RPG, the wizard doesn't even have magic yet. So there's no real magic system. So what are you going to do? It doesn't really, you don't even really have a wizard build, but magic gets added later on in different things. We'll figure it out. Section 8.0, health and willpower. Your health and willpower are determined by your current stats. Health, your health is the total sum of your strength and dexterity plus 20. 10 for a challenge. For a challenge, a lot of people say this game doesn't need to be a challenge. You need to take it easy on yourself. Add plus 30. Plus 30, add plus 40. Figure out your sweet spot. Willpower, your will is the total sum of your wits and charisma, plus 20. So you're figuring it out already with these just 4 simple stats. You're still going to have to play a balancing game. You're going to want to figure out how you're going to finish these die rolls, what your statistical hits are going to be, your weapons. Now you're getting close to finishing your character. You're going to roll 2d6 to determine your starting goal. Gold, you're going to use that gold to purchase these weapons. Here are their damage ratings again. Simple things. ID3 plus 1, ID6. And again, look, from game to game, for the most part, these games started off as these simple 2-page PDFs of Field of Dire Souls. You see, it's the same tables. It's the weapons tables, ranged weapons, melee weapons, ranged weapons, the rules for generating the dungeons, rules for the monsters, and everything, and then the same things, and all the games are basically the same, reskinned with different role-playing elements, and that's kind of the beauty of it to me. Here's the armor and items that add so you have the melee weapons and ranged weapons. And we'll see how that interplays with how combat works and how we get through the dungeon. Here are the armor and its bonuses to the health. Some armors add bonuses to the health, and some add bonuses to will. You're going to have 2 basic stats. You're going to pools of things that can get hurt, like your health points can go down, but also your will points can go down. When your will goes down, that's like you're terrified in the dungeon. Your will to go on, your feeling that you're going to succeed is going down, and then you're losing your will to go on. You'll have to take one of these items to, like a healing potion or some bread crust or some ale, to heal you. Some of them heal your health points to a certain degree, but look, these are die rolls, so it's a gamble. You pay 1 gold for the bread crust, to take down into the cave with you, and you pop that thing. Does it heal you all the way? No, just like Final Fantasy, right? You pop it, but does it generate all the health? No. But the miracle, thank God for 6 gold, does heal you all the way. Play blood for $1. The special rules in here, you know what I mean? You take the special steak meal. It's a 1d6. Believe you me, I've eaten plenty of steak meals to find it oddly unfulfilling, and I've taken the journal notes to note that effect. There you go. Generating rooms. This is fantastic. This is the sweet science of the game. Basically, every iteration of the game is completely different, and this is how you can play by yourself and why this is like a great solo play experience. Begin the game by choosing a random square on the graph paper and generating the first room in the dungeon entrance. To generate a room, roll 2d6. This is in this thing at 1.75, and in some iteration. Where did I put the die? Did I buy? What the heck? Oh, there they are. Sorry. You roll 2d6. The number rolled in the number of squares is the number of squares in the room. These can be drawn in any way, shape, or form as long as they are orthogonally connected. Noah Patterson loves this word, orthogonally. I guess that means next to each other. So here it's like if we roll 2d6 and we get an 8, you draw a room with like 8 squares, like one of these. You know what I mean? Like, you do it any way you want to. Like, like... Here you go, do one of these. Here you go. Or then maybe you want to go like fancy pants. Like, oh, look at, oh, one of these. Hey, how about that? Like, oh, wait, you know? 1, 2, 3, 4. I can count. That's 8, right? Look at that. Oh, but it's like, oh, you know, there you go. 5, 6, 7, 8. I can count. That's 8. The number rolled is the number of squares in the room. Oh my God, I'm at 15 minutes. This video, we got to make sure we got to end. But there we go. We only got to room generation. Then you roll 1d3, and then there'd be one door. Then we go through the door. You have to do a door check. You'd roll to go through the door. And depending on what you rolled, the door would either be unlocked and you go through freely, or it would be stuck. You have to do a step. I don't want the video to go too long. It's already 50 minutes and a half, and I don't want to run the rest of it not being able to upload. So I'm going to cut it off, folks, and tell you that I love you. But we'll continue. I'll call this part 1, and I'll do a part 2. So I love you. I'll have to end it. I love you.